Hello everybody, welcome to an introduction to smart homes. My name's Mark Warburton. I'm from Ivory Egg. We're a UK distributor and training centre of building control products, including KNX. And I'm here today talking on behalf of KNX UK. We're an association in the UK that market and promote KNX building control solutions to the market. If there's any issues, just put something in chat. The presentation will be available to download, and you'll receive a copy of the recording. Will be available online on the Baltimore website as well. And there's plenty of time for questions at the end. Please put them in the chat for now, and we'll come to them at the end of the talk. So, what we're going to cover first, we look at what a smart home is, what it means, and a little bit about what you can achieve with it. And then why should we change from the current way? What's wrong with the way we control homes at the moment? And then the benefits that will bring for a customer or for electrical contractors. What some of the benefits, what some of the risks are, some of the pitfalls for an electrical business. And then we'll look at the different types of systems available to try and build a bit more of an understanding in the market about what the different types of systems are. There's obviously a huge amount of solutions out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of marketing and promotion about different things like IoT and smart homes. So try to define a few different ways of categorizing the information, so you can categorizing the solutions, so you can work out what the right systems and solutions to offer are, and then a little bit about what to do if you want to get involved. So what is a smart home? I think it's the use of technology to make a building more intelligent, and that's quite deliberately broad. There's some very specific definitions that have been used in the past, like multiple systems in a building working together to make a home smarter. But with such a surge in the number of individually intelligent devices that are connected to the internet, so devices that make up the Internet of Things, it's quite feasible now that a home may have a little bit of intelligence, a few specific solutions that make the home smart. And if we're limiting a smart home to only being house-wide systems, we're chopping out a big part of the market and a big part of the industry. And that needs to be recognised, because there's a scale of intelligence. If you've got a building with, maybe it's a home with a bathroom, and you add a intelligent PIR that's able to control the lighting. So instead of the pull cord, you walk in and the lights turn on. Well, that's a step up in intelligence. That's making the home smarter and making the building start to work for the occupants. The next level up is a intelligent PIR that's able to trigger different light levels based on the time of day. So maybe during the day it's a low light level or no light because there's windows. Early evening and in the morning there's a high light level. But overnight it's a lower light level because don't need that much brightness when you walk into a room when you've been asleep. That makes that PIR then becomes far more intelligent. If individual components if you've got a little bit of automation in your home, the home starts to become smart. Those few individual devices added together can massively increase the usability of the home and make it more enjoyable to live in. So having a house-wide system is the only definition for smart home. It is quite limiting, and I'm gonna broaden it today. I'm gonna make it a bit wider than just a house-wide control. Any aspect of technology can make a building more intelligent. There's quite a few different functions in a building that most people listening work with every day, such as lighting, could be heating, ventilation, could be air conditioning, maybe some cooling. Security systems, access control, AV, a little bit of audio and video, maybe audio throughout the building or one room of audio. Could be home cinema or a bit of a theatre-based video, or a bit more of a intelligent lounge system where you've got some control of the different devices that you have in the entertainment room. Metering, smart metering, monitoring, doesn't really stop. Any aspect in the home that uses electricity can be smart. Irrigation even could we can start to look at the different functions in a building that we can make more intelligent. It's when we start to bring them together that we start to look at what's there at an existing level and start to make it more intelligent, that the home starts to become smart. The more intelligence we bring and the more integrated the building is, the more the different systems work together. Yeah, the building's going to get smarter and smarter and really start to work for the occupants instead of sometimes working against them. There's a real kind of tendency to say, well, why should we change? What's wrong with the way we do it? Buildings have been wired in the same way for a very, very long time. The kind of products we connect to them have changed, of course, and, more intelligent, or better fittings, but the fundamental wiring of a building has changed very little. So why should we change? Why should we get away from it? And the key reason is that technology has changed every other aspect of our life. We use technology to make our lives easier, to make it more comfortable, to access information in different ways. That's not always a good thing, but it's certainly recognised as, it's recognised as a good thing. People's opinions on that may change, but we can use technology to make homes safer, more secure, more enjoyable to use, in the same way that technology has had that effect on everything else. So why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we look at changing this? Why wouldn't we find ways to use technology to make a home better? One of the key differentiators is a car. In a car, we have long come to expect lighting control. When you open the door, the lights turn on automatically. We have climate controls in the majority of cars now, where you won't have often not just one zone of climate control, but 2 or maybe even 4 zones of different climate control within a car. You've got automatic locking, you've got window control where you don't wind the window down, you just push a button. So they're all standard in a car, but in a home we don't have any of those aspects. We walk into a room and we look for the light switch. We have sometimes one zone of heating effectively for a home where everything is, follows a master thermostat. We don't have any window control. We very rarely have any form of security or access control. Everything is done at a standard level. So the place that we spend the majority of our time, we're not using any technology or automation to make the building any smarter, and that seems odd at the least. But the real reason to change are the benefits. What benefits does it bring? What does it offer? For a customer, it can be wide-ranging. The first is more control. A lot of people think of a smart home as being complicated and, there's going to be lots of touch screens and it's going to be quite difficult to use. If that's the case, the smart home's kind of missed the point. The point is that the technology takes control of the home so that you don't need to. The more complicated the system is, the easier it should be used at an interface level. And when we compare a smart home to an existing home, if you've got maybe an open plan living area, kitchen, dining, living, which is more and more common, you might have multiple light circuits in that space. It could be 6 or 7 light circuits in that space. And if that's all controlled via a multi-gang dimmer switch, like the little example we have here, you're not really releasing the benefits of the system. It's always requiring a huge amount of engagement from the homeowner to create an environment. That can be done very simply with the push of a button if you're using a smart home system or a control system. A single button press replacing maybe an 8-way grid switch, that's giving them more control because it's making it more automated, and it's reducing the complexity, not increasing it. In the majority of installations, the lack of a smart home is actually increasing the complexity of the system and the way that the system is used. It's able to achieve energy savings. If you've got intelligent lighting control, for example, you can change the way that the dimmer operates so that you're limiting the amount of power that goes to the LED. Most LEDs don't output, you can't see a visible change in the brightness above, for example, 80%. Some of them could be as low as 60%. So that top range of the LED isn't doing anything. There's no point powering it. You can limit the dimmer to 40% on some, and as an extreme example, which is a huge energy saving. You don't have those options without a control system. It could be heating control, having rooms that are on and rooms that are off because you've got a zoned climate control. It could be just being able to see how much energy you're using and at a real-time level. Obviously, smart meters are offering that kind of solution. But if you're taking that across the whole building because of the control system, then you can start to affect the way the homeowners or the people living in the house, the way they consume energy, and that can have a big impact on the energy consumption. Aesthetics is a large area. It's certainly where a lot of smart homes come from initially, in terms of we want to have a nice looking keypad on the wall, or we want to reduce the complexity of the installation by having a singular keypad controlling all the different services in the building, as compared to the example here in the picture that has 4 different services, all with their own interface, that all clash. They don't complement each other. They're clashing with each other. That's also a really bad design aesthetic, because for each interface you need to understand how that system works. You need to deal with 4 different interfaces, as opposed to having one system that enables you to control the whole building in one go. Automation is one of the obvious benefits, in that, you know, smart homes used to be called home automation. That's certainly when I started in the industry, that's what we referred to it as. But starting to automate aspects of the building can bring huge benefits to the customer. It can be as simple as time. If every time you come home in the evening you go around and shut all the curtains, and every time you leave the home you open all the curtains, if it's a large house, that could be 10 minutes a day that you could be doing something else with. It could be walking into rooms and lighting coming on automatically. We accept that in an office environment, because obviously if there's a facility manager involved, who knows that if you can automate the lighting in the bathrooms, you're going to save energy. And actually that starts to change the way we behave and the way we use buildings. And when you walk into your bathroom at home, if you've been in the office all day and you walk into the bathroom at home and the lights don't turn on, you immediately go, oh, I need to turn them on in here. This building isn't as smart as another building, which means I have to do something. I have to engage with it, which takes that. The whole point of automation has been, or the reality of automation is that it's made our lives easier and simpler. But we're not leveraging that benefit in our homes, which for me doesn't make sense, but can bring big benefits. The other one is ambience, and I say ambience in terms of creating an environment and making it a nice environment to be in. It could also be entertainment, where, you know, lighting is a prime example, where you've got an open plan area with lots of light circuits, and you want to be able to go from a scene that's focused on the kitchen and cooking a meal to a dining room type environment where the focus is the dining table, and then maybe moving to the seating area for coffee afterwards, coffee and cake after dinner. At the single push of a button, you can change the whole way that room feels and the way that room operates and people's mood within it. And that's really powerful. That's fun and exciting, but it can also start to physiologically change the way we operate, with the much greater understanding of color temperature and the way that different temperature of lighting changes the way our brains work and the chemicals our body release. We're on the edge of being able to, well, we're now able to use a lighting control system to change our mood, to give ourselves more energy, or to prepare ourselves for sleep. And that's that ambience in a building that we now have control of, and we never have in the past. But only if we engage with these systems and start to offer smart home solutions to homeowners. And the final aspect is quite a big one. It's the ability to change the system. With a standard electrical installation, the way it's installed is the way it's going to work for the rest of its life. Now, there are solutions that you can add on, and we'll look at them in a little bit, about being able to upgrade a system and make it smarter. But fundamentally, the way the system works is determined at installation. And buildings don't work like that. Buildings needs change. Homeowner needs change. And the lifetime of a building can be massively different. The way the building is used over its lifetime is completely different to the way it starts at a design stage, at an installation stage. With an intelligent building control system, you're able to adapt the building as needs change. Now, it could be someone who's retiring and they're building a home, and they know that in the next 20 years they're going to need, the building's going to need to be more accessible because they're planning on staying in their homes for longer. It could be a young couple building a home, and they know that they're going to have kids at some point, and then the kids are going to have their own needs. It could be that the building's being sold, that the building might change hands 5 or 6 times in the lifetime of the building. The system that's installed needs to be able to be adapted and changed to meet the different needs and requirements. And that can be a huge benefit, either as a sales tool, if it's something that is being built for sale, or as a homeowner, if they're building it, and you're able to say, why don't we install a system that will give you the flexibility as you change and as the way you use the building changes? Is that something that would offer benefit to you? And the majority of people are going to say yes. And then you can start to talk to them about associating a cost with that, because obviously things cost money, but if someone can see all these benefits, the cost starts to become irrelevant in some cases, or certainly more manageable. What are the benefits though for electrical contractors? Now, there's lots of benefits in terms of the systems can be more fun to install, and you can it's new and exciting, it's great technology, and if you're into your technology, it can be quite fun, but that doesn't really help a business. There's a couple of key aspects. Now, this depends on the types of system you're installing and the extent that you're installing the system, but the benefits can be seen even if you start doing very basic smart home systems. You're able to increase the value of the project. That means that you'll have more profit coming into your business, more turnover, and in some cases you'll be able to sell a product that has a higher margin, or actually has a margin, which can be quite a change when, with the commoditization of the electrical industry. It's so hard to sell product that really brings in a margin to your business, a profit margin to your business. With certainly the higher end of control systems, or the house-wide control systems, the majority are professionally installed. You can only buy them through an installer. That's a margin that you, as an electrical contractor, will have. You'll be able to charge a higher rate for a specialised skill and differentiate yourself from other businesses in your marketplace. You're doing something that no one else is doing, or very few other people are doing, and it requires a different skill set. That can bring big bonuses to a business in terms of making the company more profitable. It's also meeting a market demand. There's a proven demand for smart homes. The level of engagement from consumers and homeowners with smart homes has never been higher. It's in a large part thanks to some of the big technology companies that are getting involved, the likes of Google, Apple, Amazon, etc. They are making consumers aware that they can control their homes differently. And that means consumers are asking for it, homeowners are asking for it. And if you're in a position to meet that need, as a business, you'll be able to grow and expand, or maybe not expand, but just be more profitable. It'll also allow you to simplify your installations, making installations easier. Certainly with a house-wide control system, not having to deal with two-way switching and intermediate switching, not having to do wall drops for your light circuits, being able to install a circular back box which uses a hole saw instead of a pad saw to cut a hole out. All of that makes the physical installation easier, but you can also completely change the way you do your installations, and you'll be on site for less and working off site more, which is a better working environment often. You're doing more commissioning on a laptop. These are all ways that you can start to use modern installation techniques to make the job of an electrician easier and simpler. And some would say more enjoyable, others would say less enjoyable, but it depends on your opinion on it. Now, there needs to be risks. I mean, nothing in life is done without risks, and there are some big challenges if you're looking at getting involved with smart homes, and I think it's important to be upfront about them. One of the really big changes is the way that customers engage with the system. Most electrical installations are fit and forget, whereas if you're installing technology, you're going to need to be able to support it. The customer's going to expect you to support it and change it and adapt to it and keep it up to date and maybe offer upgrades. And if you're not prepared for that, it can come as a bit of a shock. Certainly if there's some issues in the installation, you might have to do multiple returns to site to get the system working. If you haven't costed that into your allowance for the project, you can quite quickly start to hit the bottom line very quickly and start to eat into that increased margin and increased value of the project. But if you turn it into a opportunity, if you're able to offer a maintenance or support contract for all of your projects, you'll be able to secure a recurring revenue that can help to fund a business through maybe a drought when there isn't much work out there. If you know you've got a certain amount of work coming in, that's always reassuring. It also allows you to maintain engagement with the customer and offer them upgrades and be there for when they want to extend their building, or maybe they want to recommend someone to their friends. If you've got this ongoing relationship, it's much more that can have a lot of other benefits for a business. You also start working with quite fast-moving technology. You've got to keep up to date with it. There's some solutions that evolve very quickly. There's other solutions that are a lot more stable and been in the market for a long time. But there'll be a lot more to do a lot more research and keep up to date. And it kind of changes. Instead of maybe getting information from a wholesaler, you need to start getting information online or start talking to different reps from different manufacturers. All that changes how you do business, but it's not something that's just means you need to keep up to date and invest time and money on learning the different types of solutions out there. And it's that learning that is one of the other big challenges. If you'll need to increase your knowledge and understand the solutions you're offering, but you might also need to understand the solutions that you're controlling, or how do you control the different systems that are being installed. Just knowing how the control system works isn't always enough. You need to know how the underlying system works as well. You might need to increase the knowledge across the business. If you've maybe got a dedicated sales team, or you've got marketing, or even back office staff, they might need to know more about the type of systems you're installing so that they can effectively sell and support the installation, or the people doing the installations. And that takes time, that takes money, that's quite a big shift to the way the business will work. It's also really important to manage a customer's expectations. Most control systems can do a huge amount, offer a huge amount of features and control a building in many different ways, and infinitely configurable. But that doesn't mean you should offer that to your customer, because if they know you can achieve anything with it, they will want you to achieve anything with it, and they'll expect you to do it for the same price as achieving something very simple. If you understand the systems you're selling and you know how they work and what they're capable of, you can manage those customer expectations, make a firm offering of what you're going to deliver at the project, and you're going to do it for X amount of money. But make it clear that we can upgrade it, we can do whatever you want. But that's when we'll say move over to a support contract and support them that way. It's an area where a lot of companies working with smart homes for the first time, or initially, struggle, because there's so many returns to site to try and make the customer happy and make the system work in the way that they're expecting, because that expectation wasn't managed from the offset. It's something that you learn, and as you get, it's an experience-based. Often you learn it with experience, but even some of the most experienced smart home companies still get this wrong, and they offer too much. Just because they can control everything doesn't mean it should. All of this means quite an investment of time and money, but it's an investment worth making because of the benefits, because of the way that you can change the way your business works and change the model of your business. So how do you choose which system to use? There are a lot of systems out there. I've put a snapshot of them, of different manufacturers up there. And all of them say that their system's the best, theirs is the right solution and is capable of doing everything. But it's not as simple as that. They all have different features and benefits. They all work, and some of them work in different ways, some of them work in the same way. So to try and help cut through this, we're going to look at 3 different ways of grouping systems. The first is it a smart device, or is it a smart system? Is it an individually intelligent device, or is it a house-wide control system? Is it proprietary or open protocol, and what the pros and cons of each of them are? And then finally, some different installation types. There is a wealth of information out there from individual manufacturers on these solutions. There's a lot of information on, certainly on the Voltman website, different webinars and different information, kind of breaking down different types of systems, etc. It's certainly worth looking into. So smart home devices. What is a smart device? Well, normally, now this isn't absolute. There's obviously a lot of different solutions and different products, and they'll fit into this in different ways. But generally, a smart home device is taking something that's in an existing installation and making it smarter. Could be replacing a light bulb with a more intelligent version that's connected to the home network. It could be replacing the light switch with a connected device. It could be taking a thermostat, a standard rheostat, and replacing it with an intelligent thermostat that's able to work out the the occupancy of the building and the time it takes to warm up. They all seem to be very smart, and they seem to be offering a degree of smart home, and they certainly are, but they're only individual. They can only do their one thing. And they're all connected individually to a system. It might be they're connected to the home network. Each of them is on the Wi-Fi network. They're all very easy to install, normally DIY. You can buy them on the high street, or you can buy them online. It's kind of a thing that a consumer might do or a homeowner might do themselves. They're really, really powerful and a really, really fantastic way to introduce as a first step into automation. But there can be limited system-wide control. It can be hard to maybe link all the different devices together. Or if you're from working with a single manufacturer, for example, if you installed one manufacturer's smart light bulbs downstairs and another one upstairs because they looked different or looked better, you might be able to turn all the downstairs on with one app. You might be able to turn all the upstairs on with one app. But being able to do both of them at the same time, that would be the challenge. It would be a case of maybe installing an app in between that communicates to the two different apps. And that's where it starts to get complicated. Once you go beyond wanting to control the individual device or the individual group of devices, if they've been grouped together, it gets complicated. And linking to other devices and systems can be hard. Most of the kind of smart home devices, and this is certainly IoT, Internet of Things devices, they all say they all speak a language and they can communicate to other devices. But the problem is every single device can talk to lots of languages, but there isn't a standardized language. There isn't a single communication language that they can all communicate with. You might end up using 3 or 4 different communication standards to try and piece together the system. And it's when you start to piece together the system that you do get the benefits. Being able to have an all-off button by the door that shuts the entire building down would be one of the key benefits of a smart home. If you've got lots of individual devices, it can be hard to reach that optimum level of functionality. But smart home devices are the best gateway to further automation. If a homeowner has installed a little bit of tech or has asked you to install a little bit of tech, maybe a smart thermostat, and they've had a good experience with it, they'll want to explore more and find out what else they can do. And that means these individual devices, these individual solutions that are often, like I said, available at a consumer level, that, with a very, if they're not available at a consumer level, there's usually a very, very low margin for an electrical contractor. They should be seen as an opportunity to engage with people and get them involved. You're never going to make a huge amount of money on them. They're very quick and easy to install, but it's an opportunity to engage with homeowners and start to get them excited about technology and what they can achieve in their home. One of the big aspects to understand is if you've got multiple devices communicating onto the home network, such as intelligent light bulbs, that is starting to fill up the home network. And most consumer grade routers, such as a BT Home Hub or a Sky router or a Virgin router, they're not designed for the number of devices that you would have in a home full of IoT devices. And you might start to see some weird effects, like when you're streaming a movie, maybe the lights don't turn on automatically. It's a very extreme example, but that reliance on the home network is becoming more and more if you're dealing with all these individual devices that are all communicating via the home. And it's important to understand that, because if you're offering a system such as lighting that needs to work and that is heavily reliant on the home network, and maybe the customer changes their router to a different provider, and the lighting stops working, that's not ideal, and that will start to lead to bad experiences with home automation. That will start to affect everyone in the industry and affect the uptake of it. So using smart devices in the right place is really powerful, and is a great way of introducing automation and smart homes into a project. The next level up is a smart home system, or a house-wide control system. And the key difference here is the wiring has changed in the building. Instead of having a light switch in the room, the light circuit is connected directly back to the consumer unit, where there is a switch or a dimmer, and then there is a control cable ran around the project picking up all the keypads, maybe the light switches. Because that connection has been broken, that relationship between the switch and the light circuit has been removed, a light switch can achieve anything. A single button push could turn on all the lighting in the building. A keypad could be reconfigured, so instead of controlling one room, it's controlling another room. Or if they wanted to have all the light switches down a hallway turning on the lights, that's just a little bit of programming. And it's when you start to break that connection that you achieve, that's when smart homes really start to fly, certainly when it comes to lighting. When you look at other systems such as heating, ventilation, air conditioning, HVAC, or shading, or AV, you're often looking at adding more devices into the room. You might have a thermostat in every room. Now that thermostat could be integrated into the keypad. Maybe it's a standalone heating control system in the property. But by having a control bus for the devices, or a control layer for the devices, you're able to achieve much higher functionality in the building. Could be linking different parts of the building together. So when someone unsets the alarm, the lighting turns on automatically and the heating changes mode to a more, a higher set point. When they set the alarm, it shuts the building down. Being able to know the occupancy of the building and control the shading based on the internal temperature, so that if the room starts to heat up because of solar gain, the blinds shut automatically, but only if you're not at home. Maybe if you're at home, they only tilt, so you're still getting light into the room. With a house-wide control system, that's simple. That's what they're designed to do, but only when you've got everything working on the same level. It provides a much greater opportunity to reduce energy consumption, because you can start to integrate the different aspects and use different parts of the building, different, like the temperature example, using a temperature in a room to influence much more than just the heating. When you look at zone climate control, it's more flexible and comfortable. And if you're looking at a house-wide control system, using a system that's designed to control a whole home makes more sense than having lots of individual thermostats that have only really been designed to replace a singular thermostat. So the way the installation is made, the way the installation happens changes, but because of that you get a lot more benefits. One of the keys is it requires professional installation. This is the point where you're now installing a different system. You are now selling all the control equipment. You're selling the keypads and the dimmers, and you're making the system easier to install and simpler to use. And as a business, that's when you really start to see the benefits. If for all of the electrical installation, you're now making a maybe 30 or 40% profit margin on the project, plus you're charging a higher day rate because it's a specialized skill, and you're doing that with the customer's absolute agreement and engagement because they want to get all the benefits from the project, that's when the whole industry starts to sing and everybody starts to have good experiences. One of the differences is the way you'd interface. If you've got a house-wide control system, you only need to interface once to the system. So you need one IP gateway, one connection to the network. It means you're not reliant on the network because the system will operate on its own, depending on the installation type, which we'll cover in a second. But the connection, you're not going to load up the home network in the same way, which offers a lot of other benefits as well. So smart devices are lots of individual devices that are intelligent and can be used to create a smart home. Or you've got a house-wide control system that is going to control the whole home. It doesn't mean it's used to control the whole home. Maybe you're only doing it in the primary living areas. Maybe it's only doing lighting control and it's not doing the heating. But the system is capable of controlling everything. Now, if you are going to change the wiring in a building and install a system that is fixed and is installed in the walls, you need to be careful between a proprietary system and an open protocol system. A proprietary system is a single manufacturer solution. It's something that they've developed, something that they own, they have full control of it. And because of that, they'll offer a fixed level of functionality. They'll be very clear about what the system can do. It might be a high level of functionality, it might be quite a low level, but it's fixed. It's managed by them. And they're able to make the system very easy to configure because of that control they have. It'll often have free training and software, again, because the manufacturer is in control of the entire process. But the future support of the system, the way everything is reliant on that manufacturer. Say that manufacturer decides to offer a different solution that they think is better, or fundamentally change the way the system operates, or even goes out of business at an extreme level. That system's no longer supported. You might be able to maintain the system and keep it working with the odd upgrade or the odd replacement part, but maybe 5-10 years down the line, that manufacturer is completely gone and you're not able to do that. And then you'll be saying to the customer, well, for us to keep your lighting working, we need to rewire the building. That's a huge ask, and that's quite a big, one of the big barriers to entry. Proprietary solutions are normally cheaper though. They're normally more accessible and easier, and they're certainly more promoted and marketed because a single manufacturer can get behind it and promote it. Understanding that is the key. They absolutely have their place, and the majority of the market is made up with a proprietary control solution. The other side of that is an open protocol solution. That's where the manufacturers don't control the language or the way the system works. So by that I mean, if you've got a keypad talking to a dimmer, the way that the dimmer and the keypad communicate in an open protocol system would be standardized. And it could even be to the point where it's written into a building control standard. It's a recognized way of communicating. Not just the installation type, as in it's working over wired or wireless, which we'll cover in a second, but how does it communicate? How do the two devices operate? In an open protocol, that's separate from the manufacturer. That language is defined and controlled. And because of that, it's more likely to have a much broader range of functionality and solutions, because the people that develop the protocol and the language don't necessarily know what people want, how manufacturers are going to use it. So they'll open it up and make it capable of controlling anything in a building. Because of that, you'll have more elaborate software because you're able to achieve more with it. And the software is designed to support multiple manufacturers' products. But you might need to pay for that software. You may need to pay for training because there's no link between the sale of a product and the training and the software that's offered. The real benefit is the future support, the way the system is supported by multiple manufacturers. If any of those manufacturers go out of business, other manufacturers will take their place. And because the way the system operates isn't controlled by a manufacturer, it's less likely to change. Now, it's very hard to look too far ahead into the future, but an open protocol system is the best replacement for an existing wiring installation if you're looking at changing the wiring. One of the reasons standard electrical 230-volt system is so popular is it's effectively open protocol. You can install any light switch, you can install any socket, and it will work. You know it's going to work. If you're replacing that with a proprietary system where all of the solution has to be from a single manufacturer, that's a risk that needs to be balanced and measured, and a risk that needs to be understood. It's normally, like I say, balanced with cost. The proprietary system may be cheaper and maybe have a cheaper upfront capital cost, but if the lifetime costs of the installation are taken into consideration, an open protocol system would normally win. So what are the different installation types? Now, this is the transport layer, which is the way the different devices communicate. The language that the products communicate with, and that's products across the entire spectrum of home control products or building control products. The language the products use to talk to each other could be proprietary or it could be open protocol. There are numerous standards for device intercommunication and languages that products can speak, or it will be a proprietary one. There might be a proprietary one based on an open protocol, but the manufacturer's locked it down, so other competitors' products can't communicate with it. That's the language they talk, and the installation type is what they're talking over, how they're talking. So in a wired installation, you are changing the wiring of the building. All of the home is, all of the smart home, or the devices connected to the smart home, are connected to this wired system. So a communications bus for all of the keypads, maybe all the PIRs, the manifold controllers, dimmers, actuators, shading, blind actuators, all of them are connected and communicating over this wired bus. Because of that, it's fixed. You're not going to get interference from other systems. You're not open to other systems changing how it works. It's locked in. It's going to be more reliable. It's going to be more consistent, and I'll offer a lot more guaranteed results. But it requires a full rewire. It's something that's going to be done maybe as a new build or an extensive renovation. You know, it's very difficult to retrofit cabling. The level up from that would, well, another level would be wireless. Now, wireless being having no wires, as opposed to Wi-Fi, which is a defined type of wireless. It could be RF, radio frequency. It could be a Notion or Zigbee. There's loads of different types of wireless protocols and wireless communication protocols. Obviously very easy to install, very easy to retrofit. You only need power at each device, which could be done by batteries, or could be done by the action of the push of a switch. Could be wireless, could be the generation of the energy. But you're open to potential of interference. You know, most wireless systems use similar frequencies. I've certainly worked on a project where there were 5 different wireless systems installed, each using the same frequency, but each using a different language. That can lead to problems. And you've got to manage the range. You've got to, you know, it might be brick walls are in the project, which are going to create a block, and you need to have repeaters on each side. It could be foil-backed plasterboard. You know, often you don't understand it's hard to understand the issues with a wireless installation until the installation has happened, and then it's too late. If you can run a wire, running a wire is always the better solution. But wireless have their place, certainly at a retrofit level. They make sense. It's the simplest way to retrofit an installation. Another way is networking, and that's using a IT network for different devices to communicate. It is kind of wireless, except it's a standardized type. It's wired, but it's a standardized type of wired. Where in the first example, the wire, the communication is fixed to the wire is being used exclusively for that device. And a network, a lot of different products and systems and installations could be communicating over that same network. It would require running a data cable from each keypad back to a network switch. And it's when you start adding that central network, that's those central products, that it gets complicated. You're going to need central equipment. The way that the devices communicate is going to be standardized because they're communicating over networking. Same as Wi-Fi, but they're communicating over the network. But the devices at each end would still need to be compatible. They'd need to know and be able to decode the information that's being sent over the standardized network. It's the key issue with networking is you're extremely, absolutely reliant on the home network. And if there's any issues with that network, your lighting may stop working, or your heating may stop working, or your access control might stop working. And that's a risk that needs to be mitigated and understood. It's not insurmountable, it just needs to be understood. And then finally, power line. And that's using mains cabling to communicate, to have different devices communicate. You're sending control signals over the mains cabling, which has had different, at different times in the past, it's been popular, it's gone in and out of favor. It's a great way of realizing a home control system when you can't get wireless around, for example, or when you can't rewire. But it's prone to interference. Very few electrical installations are clean and noise-free, and it does require quite a clean environment because you don't want that message to not be received. Maybe it's a keypad turning on a light. You need that message to be received at each end. Now, there are some other ones, but they normally fit into these 4 categories, and it might be you have a mixture of them. Some systems allow you to have wired and wireless, for example, or can use the network for some aspects or use power line for some aspects. Some are exclusively wireless. Certainly a lot of the the more smart devices, that consumer end of the smart home spectrum. Those devices are normally wireless and working over the home network. There's different risks, there's different benefits with each of them, but understanding what each is important. So how does this all relate to KNX? KNX is an open protocol with over 450 manufacturers, and it's designed to control all aspects of the built environment, so lighting, HVAC, shading, metering, sensing, it goes on. It was designed for commercial and residential, so it's scalable. It can go from a very small project to a very large project, and it works over all 4 of the different types of installation type, all with the same standardized language, and that language is written into it's an ISO standard. It's a true building control standard that's used worldwide. So you know that if you're going to have 2 devices that together on an installation that both talk KNX, they're going to be able to communicate. It's been around for 26 years, and that's 26 years of ongoing development. 26 years seems very long time ago, but the system's been updated and evolved and changed over those times. But the way that the system, the language and the way that the devices communicate hasn't changed. So you can walk up to an installation that's 26 years old and know that if you install new products, they will communicate over the same system. And it's a professional system. It's designed to be installed by electricians. It's designed to be installed by those who have completed training and know what they're doing. It's not something that's available at a consumer level. And that means if you're looking for a solution to invest time and money in as a business, KNX makes sense. Because it's open protocol, the majority of KNX installations would be wired, and because of that open protocol nature, you're installing a system in a home that has the best chance of being around in years to come. With over 450 manufacturers backing it, it's very unlikely to go anywhere. If you want more information about KNX, there's a couple of different places to look. KNX UK, which is the UK national group, has a lot of information on KNX projects in the UK, different things you can achieve with it. KNX.org has that's the association. That's the association that manages the standard and the protocol and the way they work. Their website's knx.org. They have a lot of other information about how KNX works, the underlying system, how it works, and international projects. And then ivory.co.uk, we have a huge amount of information, not only on KNX, but also building control, different home automation solutions, what you can achieve with home automation, what you can achieve with KNX, and then different ways of achieving it with specific KNX products and applications. There's also some really good other webinars on the Voltimum website from different people, both on smart homes, but also KNX. So what to do next? We've looked at what smart homes are, some of the benefits for a consumer, some of the benefits for an electrical contractor. We've looked at what different types of systems there are out there, smart devices, smart homes, different installation types, differences between open protocol and proprietary. But now you've got to work out what to do. You've got to find a solution, find products that work, find products that fit your business. And the key is research. Look at different solutions, speak to different manufacturers, different distributors, look at the different information on the Voltimum website, find out what fits and what works for you. It might be you offer multiple solutions, it might be you only offer one. It might be you find a proprietary system that absolutely does what you need it to do and you can get involved and get working with it. Fantastic. But then if you know that there are other solutions out there, you've always got them in the back of your mind, and that can be very powerful. Get training on the solutions you are offering, as much training as you can. Training's key. The more you understand about it, the better you're able to support your customers. And also get training on systems that you're controlling. Don't just stick to what you are don't just stick to what you're selling, the product that you're using. Look at what you're controlling, and again, the more you know about that, the better off you are. And then finally, start talking to your customers. Find out about, ask them how they want to control their home. Do they want to control their home in the same way they control all the other aspects of their life, or do they want to do it the way we've been doing it for the last 100 years? Just start talking to them, even if you're not offering a solution. Start getting some feedback from them about what they would like to be able to do, because that will help determine the types of solutions you offer. That's everything from me. A couple of questions. Please ask any more questions in the chat, and we'll go through them now. A couple of links there when you download the PDF that will take you to the KNX UK Association and Ivory Egg. And certainly spend as much time on the Voltman website as you can. There's so much valuable information on there. Cool. So from John Kirby, is the benefit not just intelligent but also safer? Absolutely. Monitoring for CH4, CO, water leaks, taking all the information from a building and starting to bring it together to activate, to do something about it. It's all good knowing that you've got a water leak when you're on holiday in Spain, but knowing that there was a valve that automatically closed to stop the water leak, that's something that's you'd much rather know that. Access control, being able to offer, knowing when your family comes home from school, because the kids have just got to the age where they're walking home from school, and knowing that they've come into the house and haven't left again, it gives you a massive amount of peace of mind. The benefits, it can be far-reaching. It really depends on the extent of the system that's installed. You're not different levels of smart home start to achieve that. The absolute, top level of having all the information in the home working together on the same system, so you can start to make decisions about that, or the system can start to make decisions about that. That's fantastic, and that's what certainly as a company we aim for and we promote. But finding where you sit and where your needs sit, or where your customers' needs sit within the wide range of smart home solutions is important as well. The Ivory Egg's 3 days, no, they're not CPD approved at the moment. Certainly something we're looking into. They are CDS CEU approved. If you're a CD member, you get CEU points. If CPD points are important, speak to us about it, because we'd like some feedback. The uptake of CPD is, we get various feedback as to whether people think it's relevant or not, but certainly get in touch and give us, I'll certainly note that feedback. Thank you. KNX may be open standard, but the RF solution is fundamentally proprietary and it's weak link. So are there any solutions that enable KNX to be used across Zigbee? I don't think that RF solution is proprietary in that the way that the RF devices, obviously both devices need to be KNX. And in that sense, KNX is proprietary because the devices need to speak it. But there's multiple manufacturers making those products. The way that KNX RF communicates and as part of the system has been massively updated in the last couple of years and is much more reliable. But I see what you mean in terms of the way Zigbee works as an RF solution is far more developed, and things like mesh networking and the way it starts to build an entire infrastructure of Wi-Fi. There absolutely are gateways that you can use to link them together. There's some small central servers that can communicate with KNX and Zigbee. I think there are a couple of more specific Zigbee gateways. Drop an email to sales@Ivory Egg, and I'll make sure one of the sales guys come back with some different solutions. Should we be looking forward to advanced with non-deployment? Absolutely, you should be. Baltimore will certainly be taking note of that. I think one of the things that, certainly from my point of view, it's hard to know what people want to know about smart homes and where their experience is of it, because once you start to get involved, maybe you do training on specific projects, you start on specific products, you might be picking up that information from training providers. So I think one of the really key aspects that I'd like to explore in the future is some of the more nitty-gritty installation types, what some of the things to watch out for, what some of the things you can get caught out on when you are starting to use smart homes. Something we'll be talking to Baltimore about, and we'll feed back to the KNX Association. Lots of thank yous, which is brilliant. Thank you everybody for listening. Distance online courses. Not sure what that's referring to. The Voltman website, the Voltman presentations are certainly online. There is an increasing amount of online training from different smart home providers, something that the KNX Association certainly have on their website, and there's regular webinars, and it's certainly something that as a training provider over here, it's something that's on our radar and looking at. There's something different about, there's a key difference between learning with this kind of learning, finding out about stuff, but actually using products and programming it. I always find it's a better experience if you're in person, but there's certainly more and more options available, and it's something we're looking at. In terms of consumers, if the big names are involved, such as British Gas, Hive, Google, Amazon, which they are, then this is a key element for exposure to the domestic market. Absolutely, it's the biggest opportunity we've ever had as an industry is these companies getting involved. But what we need to do is ensure that when people have experiences with this technology, they have good experiences. It's really simple to go and buy maybe a Google product or an Amazon product and plug it in, and you use it for the first week, and then you stop engaging with it. And the next time someone talks to you about smart homes, you go, it's a waste of time. As an industry, as an electrical industry and as a smart home industry, we need to be helping customers and providing them the support, the service to make sure they have good experiences so that the industry does continue to grow. And for me, that's the risk I see with the bigger companies getting involved. Brilliant. Thanks, everybody. Really good feedback. Great to see. Unless there's any more specific questions, certainly follow up. If you do have anything else, drop an email to Voltimum or to the link to provide in the PDF, sales@ivoryegg.co.uk, and we'll come back to you. Right, thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.